Welcome to another episode of I did a lot of work that's not very interesting to talk about, so here's a random topic on today's The Needleful Weekly. AI, specifically large language models and generative AI, are things people occasionally pester me about using, so I figured I should explain why I don't use them. I will first reveal my secret. I actually have made a game using AI. Can you guess which one? Surprise, it's the AI art gallery. The story behind it reveals part of why I don't use AI. I was on 4chan's AGDG, or Amateur Game Development General. Recently, a research paper had been published about something called VQGAN, an AI model that could generate images, the first of its kind publicly available. Someone began spamming AGDG with posts about how artists were going to be obsolete and how he would make his game with AI, accompanied by incomprehensible AI-generated sludge and, most insultingly of all, no video games. I made the AI art gallery over a weekend to spite this one person. Instead of shitposting on 4chan, he could have been making video game with all that beautiful computer slime he made. As far as I know, he has yet to make a video game. Most of the art in this gallery is garbage, but it was fun watching the computer struggle to make sense of my prompts, like Dead Cold or San Francisco is Hell. I was tempted to make a sequel with Dolly to see how AI's evolved, but the results were pretty boring. AI's gotten so good it just generates the obvious answer to any prompt. When I got really heady, it'd just write out the text like it was poetry. The adventures of my cool new superhero Mr. Stupid Hat probably don't need a video game adaptation. Plus, to this day, I associate AI art with people like that guy on AGDG, using AI not to make something worthwhile, but to demoralize and devalue other people. To live in spite and envy of people who put in the time to learn something you could learn too, if you weren't so busy wasting your life away doing nothing in particular. It's cringe, it's uncool, it's nerdy in a corporate, uncreative way. It's slop, and eating slop makes you a pig. That's not the only reason I avoid AI, but I think that's the heart of it. I avoid AI-generated code because I like coding. I often find excuses to make my own tools, not because I really need them, but because I want the challenge. If it were easier, I wouldn't do it. Maybe I should be more results-oriented, but the result of life is death, so I could results-orient a shotgun into my mouth if I wanted to live like that. I'd rather spend my time doing things I enjoy than automate them so I can spend time doing what exactly? Plus, I think it's important that someone, somewhere, knows what my code does and cares if it works. It's the same reason I'd be hesitant to hire a short-term contractor to write a bunch of code in dip. They wouldn't care if it works in the long term. Until we make an AI that's afraid of getting a stern talking to for doing a bad job, it'd be up to me to make sure it all works, which involves reading it and understanding it. At that point, it's often easier to write it myself. The only exception was basic Blender scripting, but then I realized Blender has tab completion built in, and that's way more useful than letting the AI try to figure out code itself. And AI-generated writing? If you don't want to write for your game, just don't write. Most video games should have half as many words. Don't add more unless it's worth the player's time. One of the most modern insults is realizing what I'm reading was generated by an AI. My time was wasted. I was hoping for communication between two humans when in reality you were spraying me with a hose that I mistook for words. Thinking about that has made me think more about intention in art. What do I intend with the things I make? What does it say? If the audience looks closely, will they find something? Anywhere AI would make sense, it makes more sense to have nothing, because detail without intention is wasting the audience's time. It's punishing them for looking closely. Like, for example, grass. Unless I'm doing something interesting with the grass, who cares what it looks like? Why would I add detail using an AI or stock photos which would trick the player into believing there's something to see, when I could make it a flat green surface or a nearly flat surface and put that detail where the player would be rewarded for looking? That's been my mindset with Kitty Found a Camera, and something I'll focus on in the future. I only put as much detail as I think matters. For some things that's quite a lot, but for others it's none at all. That leaves AI in the conceptual stage, which I avoid for the same reason of intention. Like, sure, I can make a cool robot. Who cares? This looks like something I'd see on ArtStation and think neat before immediately forgetting about as I scroll. What is the point? Why am I even here? If you wanted to see AI-generated robots, you could open up an image generator and do it yourself. I have to put something into it that you couldn't find elsewhere. Storytelling, lived experience, perspective, intention. If a human isn't making art, what even is it?